All right, so I'm here with Jack from the YouTube channel Modern Mining. Jack, thank you so much for joining me. Those of you who might remember, Jack and I sat down to have a chat about 7 months ago at this point. If a quick sort of wrap up of that is Jack kind of got restarted in mining this year of 2024. We spoke a little bit about how he views the landscape of mining, well, how he did view the landscape of mining at that point, what he's getting into, which was at that point mostly GPU mining, and coming into it with like a budget-oriented point of view. And I kind of just want to check in with you now, 7 months later, of how it's been going, what's new, what you have kind of diversified into. Getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but Jack, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Seb. It's definitely been a long time since our last conversation, and I'm excited to kind of go through these items because a lot has changed in that time. And I wanted to thank you again for putting out that video the first time around, because that definitely kind of helped kickstart the channel. So it's been a ride since then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I love chatting with you. I love, checking in with new and upcoming traders in the space. And I don't know if I even mentioned it now during the intro, but Jack is a YouTuber as well, and you should all go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. And we actually also did make another couple of videos together a few months ago, sort of talking about some more controversial out there topics in crypto mining and whether or not we kind of found them to be underrated or overrated. And I actually would recommend going and checking those videos out. There's one on my channel, one on Jack's channel, because they are just kind of jam-packed with a lot of good information about some pretty important topics, in my opinion. So I guess I'll link those down in the video description somewhere. But Jack, thank you for coming on. And I want to really jump into kind of the first question that I have for you here, which is, when we last spoke 7 months ago, you had been very hard at work, getting your GPU mining farm set up. So now, 7 months later, how has that gone? What have you essentially been up to in terms of GPU mining since then?
Yeah, it's gone good, and I've basically got the farm kind of exactly where I wanted at this point. I don't really have any more plans to expand at this point, or any more plans to kind of sell off what I have. For those who haven't seen my channel, I've got 3 12-card rigs of a mix of 3060 Ti's and 3070s, mostly 3070s. So 36 GPUs total. I don't remember exactly how many I had the last time we had talked, Seb, but it was probably under that 24 range. And keeping kind of with the whole budget mindset that my channel is about, for the longest time, I only had 2 rigs because, as you know, the 𝗪𝗓 fees, once you get a third rig, that's when it's not free anymore and you start paying 𝗪𝗓 fees. And if people have been into GPU mining this year, then you know that profits have been very slim. So you kind of got a penny pinch to maintain your profitability and not have to turn off your rigs. So jump into that kind of third rig, that was where I had to start paying those 𝗪𝗓 fees. But that is the reason why I have 12-card rigs, is because I basically squeeze out as much hash power as I can from the 3 rigs that I have. But as far as, I've done a lot of different kind of modifications. I don't remember specifically, but maybe the last time we did that video, a lot of my mining stuff was inside the house at that point because it was kind of at the end of winter. Summer came, I had to do a couple different renovations in the garage to get my temperatures right. I'm not the biggest fan of server cases, so having open air frames kind of lends itself to its own challenges. And I think I was able to build a really sweet kind of enclosure to get that heat out of my garage. And I think after I built that, you made a similar video about your sort of enclosure, and I didn't even realize how similar those were until I saw your video. But I think that's definitely the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw that video of your little tower setup with the exhaust fan through the window at the top there. And yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what I've had running for 2 years. And it's working on the same principle. Just mine is with octominers, so server cases. That's just for me, I view server cases they're a bit more expensive. sometimes, but getting that like directional airflow really helps in guiding where you want the heat to go. And with that in mind, I actually am not using any exhaust fans in my window. It's just an open window,
the airflow from
and
the cases.
Yeah, like the cases push the air out of the room on their own.
That kind of reminds me of like the hobbyist miner. His shed, he doesn't have an exhaust fan anymore. He's just has the ASIC fans booted right up to the wall, and that does all the exhaust you need.
Guess who you got that idea from?
Was it from you?
I'm gonna claim that, because I've been kind
That's
of
hilarious.
telling him for a long time, just like ditch those, you know, the gable vent exhaust fans,
AC Infinity fans.
and just plug them right out. But I'm sure he would claim that no, it was his own idea that he got, you know. But okay, so let's dial it back a little bit here, and before we go on 14 different tangents here, GPU mining. What have you been mining? How has that gone? What has been your strategy? What has worked? What hasn't worked?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned it earlier, but definitely this year has been sort of a battle. It seems like we'll get 2 weeks of good profitability, and then it kind of falls off for a month or two at a time. And we're kind of in one of those regions right now where Aleo was very profitable mine for about a month or so, and now just looking at my numbers from the past week, I'm borderline not profitable on my GPUs anymore. And that's sort of a kind of window into what the entire year has been like. So if I'm being honest, when I originally got into GPU mining again back in January, the profits were a lot better than they've been for the majority of the entire year. So my kind of mindset back then was, oh, I'm going to buy this hardware now while it's cheap, and then hopefully mining continues to get more profitable throughout the whole year, and then I've already got all these cards for good prices. That really hasn't happened yet, and I'm not saying it won't, because I think next year is going to be the real determining time period of if proof of work, especially GPU coins, can make any sort of comeback. But this year it definitely seems like coins that are profitable, the selling pressure from the miners themselves eventually is going to take them down to the point where it's borderline profitable at like 10 to 11 cent kilowatt hour.
Yeah, I mean, my perspective of these 12 or so last months from a GPU mining perspective is like, it's been a wild roller coaster of some coins. If you were able to get in really early and pretty much almost spec mine them before we even knew what the profitability was going to be like, ended up working out really well for certain projects. Then we've also had a bunch of kind of random few weeks here and there, like stints of 2-3 weeks where, oh, now Pyrin is significantly profitable for a few weeks. Now Carlsen is significantly profitable for a few weeks. And then in between those, we kind of have these lulls of break even being around maybe like 8 to 10 cents electric. And some people, you know, or I shouldn't say some people, but like if you'd been, some of these coins, like if you mined them and held them, you'd be laughing right now, you know? But some of them, if you mined them and held them, Pyrin being a good example that I brought up in a video just a few days ago, is you're crying right now, you know?
Yeah, that you read my mind, because not only has profitability been bad, but just being able to come up with a strategy that works in all cases has also been extremely hard, because like you said, some of these coins, you want to hold them long term for that crazy price appreciation, but there's just so much risk to it. Pyron's a great example. They could always go to zero. So
yeah,
I think kind of jumping ahead to the third question that you were going to ask, but my strategy throughout this whole time is that I'm basically switching 50% of everything I mine into Bitcoin to have that stability, to take away that risk of I mine all these months, spend all this power, and then basically get nothing out of it. Take that away, going into Bitcoin with half of my funds, and then the other half, I'm holding small bags of all these mineable coins. And I think right now, I do like a profitability video every month where I talk about kind of what my holdings are. And I've got about $100 bags of a lot of different coins. So just going down the list, like Zilliqa, Aleo, Zealous, Chlor, Flux, Nexa, Radiant, all of those are around that $100 bag range. But if I look at my percentage gains on those coins, every single one of them is down 30 to 50% from the price that I mined them at. And the only green coin on my list is Bitcoin. So just kind of goes to show that I don't think we're fully in altcoin season yet. And I still sort of believe that a lot of those smaller bags could price appreciate a lot. And maybe that'll change my mind that I should have just been holding all those 100%. But I do, at this point, it looks like I almost would have been better switching everything into Bitcoin immediately and just trusting in the top dog.
Yeah. Well, hindsight is always, 2020,
Yeah.
as they say. And, maybe 6 months from now, when we have our next call, you'll be sitting there saying, oh, I'm so glad I held that little $100 bag of Aleo or whatever, because that coin might have just been pumped. Because, that's something both you and I have made videos on where, bull runs are a little bit different from altcoin season, where, like what we've seen in the past is these kind of like 1 year of a crypto bull run to 3 years of kind of a bear market type of thing. But during that bull run, it's not like all altcoins just kind of steadily go up and then stay at a higher level for a long period. What it rather looks like is, your big dogs go up, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, they stay up there. But then the little coins will have a random massive pump and stay up there for a week at most. And that's where you kind of have to liquidate your whole bag or swap into Bitcoin or something. So, just because all of your little numbers are red now, not financial advice, because who can tell the future, but, you're speaking from looking at past performance. It's more about just timing those insane pumps. Those bags will be red until they go very dark green for a few days. And that's when you gotta, act fast.
Yeah, and that's a great point. My only fear about that sort of is that that all does involve kind of timing the market. And I almost don't trust myself to be able to do that correctly, because these bags might go 200% and I'm like, oh, should I sell? Because they only stay up for a week. And if I don't sell, then I'm going to be holding them for another 3 years. You sell and then they go another 15x from there. It's like, it's so difficult. So that is kind of the nice thing about if you were to go the swap to Bitcoin route, is that you always have the option to just sit and hold. If you do miss the kind of price run up, you always have that insurance policy where you wait 4 years, Bitcoin is still going to be around, where a lot of these other coins, you may not have that. But that's why, sort of with how small these bags are, I'm definitely going to be leaning more towards the riskier side of that, where not sell at a 2x. These coins are such low market cap that it really wasn't worth the risk of holding them if I'm going to sell at a 2x. I almost need to sell at like a 10x or a 15x to make that kind of risk reward scale actually make sense.
Yeah. And I think that, you're coming at it with a very calculated mindset of having done your homework of like, where, how much do I want to kind of keep in this little moon bag of mine? How much am I kind of being a bit more cautious with swapping into Bitcoin? And then what risk am I willing to take on in terms of risk versus reward kind of ratio there? They need to go up this much, or I'm not bothered about losing out on these $100 worth of Radiant.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's kind of what makes a good miner, is a very conscious miner. Someone who has a plan, puts it into action, amends it as needed, but doesn't just go out willy-nilly doing whatever and following trends and all that. So with this kind of in mind, I want to hear more. We spoke about it already a little bit, but looking forward, what does your mining strategy look like now?
Yeah, so I think I'm pretty set on where I'm at. I probably have another 1,000 or 2,000 watts that I would be willing to turn on miners on right now. I think right now I'm running close to 4,500 watts, getting up to that 5,000 mark, where my power bill for mining alone is like $330 a month. And with the strategy that I use, I pay that out of pocket every single month and just bank on these coins going up, which is part of why I do switch half into Bitcoin, so that I at least always have something for the money I'm spending on power. It's not all going to go to zero. But I do think I could probably maybe get into either a script miner, or I may be getting a jazz miner soon at some point. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, kind of branch into those ASICs that I think at least have a better chance of being profitable over the price that you actually pay for them, over the life that you're mining on the units. And so that's kind of the main limiting factor for me right now, is I don't want to get to a point where I'm spending $600 a month on power. It's just not financially reasonable for me. And I could always sell the coins I'm mining, but with how kind of low profitability is, that the fees to sell and withdraw and do that every month for power costs kind of eats up that profit margin entirely. So at that point, it's almost like, all right, why don't I just turn some of this stuff off if I'm just mining to sell it anyway? So I'm definitely going to continue paying the power bill out of pocket. I think it's really, that's like the go-to way to mine. There's not really a ton of reason to mine and then sell the coins. So that's what I'm going to continue doing. Pretty good on GPUs right now. I don't know if you've seen my shelf recently, but it's about maxed out with the 4 Ice River A6 on the top. I just put a CPU miner up there and then my 3 GPU rigs. That shelf is pretty maxed out, and it's going to be more than enough heat to heat my whole house during the winter. I just did a video last week where I put a Casper miner in my bathroom to keep the bathroom nice and steamy, because that room just gets freezing in the morning, and I hate getting out.
I saw that one. I saw that one.
So yeah, I've got one in there. I've got one in the family room now. I've got 2 over here cranking in the office. It's a nice 78 degrees in here right now. I always move these things inside too early. I always move them too early, and then there's one hot day where it just roasts in here. But probably a month or so from now, I'll start moving these big GPU rigs in here and hopefully not have to turn the heat on the entire winter. That's definitely my favorite thing about crypto mining, and profitability almost doesn't matter as much during winter time, because instead of spending $150 on heating bills, I can basically be negative $150 a month on the mining, and I'm coming out the same, but I still have a chance for crazy price appreciation at some point with the coins I'm mining.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry if you said it already, but where's your power cost at this point in time per kilowatt hour?
It is 11 cents. So when I was mining Ethereum, it was 10 cents, and it has gone up to 11. But I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure that when they raised it, they had wrote in there that like it's locked for X amount of years. They're not going to bump it up again, because I live in a place where you can't like shop your power costs like I know a lot of people do. So I'm basically set at that. I tried going to the power company as a business and seeing if I use this much, could I get a cheaper deal, and it's basically all a flat rate here. But it is pretty decent, at least at 11 cents.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make 11 cents work for you, for sure. And you're still, you know, way ahead of most people at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
I sometimes wish I've got that technicals 7 cents or the hobbyist 7 cents.
Yeah.
At that point, I probably would get some bigger, like big boy ASICs, but at the 11 cents, there's just so much competition that it makes it hard, especially for Bitcoin and Caspa.
Yeah, but that's the predicament too, because it's usually those big boy ASICs that are actually the most efficient per,
exactly.
you know, watt of power there. So it's a double-edged sword, because with higher electric, they're, you know, technically more profitable, but they're also so expensive to run at a higher electric rate. So yeah,
and
you win some, you lose some. But how kind of tempting are L9s right now?
Oh, if I was gonna get a big boy, that would be the one that I would get.
Man, it's good to chat with you and catch up. Thank you so much for coming on the channel again.
Yeah, you as well.
letting us in. I love your channel. I love the approach that you have on your channel of, you know, getting into mining from a very much at-home, budget-oriented point of view. So everyone, please go check out Jack Modern Mining on YouTube. Link will be on the screen, in the description, anywhere you're allowed to put a link. Essentially, I'll link his channel. He'll probably be the pinned comment down below as well. So again, thanks for joining.
Yep. Thanks everyone for watching, and Seb, thanks again for having me on.
This video is sponsored by Coin Mining Central. Coin Mining Central is an online store for ASIC miners, and there's no doubt that right now ASIC mining profitability has just been going up like crazy in these past few months. And the miners that I'm personally most interested in right now are probably the Ice River AL2 Light Homa Lithium miner and the Jasminer X16Q, which I still think is probably the best ASIC miner available for at-home miners like myself. Coin Mining Central are also continuously providing me with exclusive discount codes for you guys, like the code SEB, which gives you $125 off on every miner in your order. I am also very excited to tell you that Coin Mining Central have recently launched a loyalty program that lets you earn points in loads of different ways, like signing up for their newsletter or following them on social media. You also earn points on every order you make with them, and these loyalty points can then be redeemed for massive discounts on your next purchase. Now, on top of this, with Coin Mining Central, worldwide express shipping is always free, and there are never any added payment fees during checkout or anything like that. The listed price is always the total cost you'll pay for the miners. And I did a lot of research before I decided to partner up with Coin Mining Central, and there were two clear things that stood out to me about them. The first one being that, as opposed to most other ASIC vendors that are based overseas, Coin Mining Central is registered and run out of England, Europe, which means they have to adhere to the very strict regulations for customer support and personal detail protection that we have over here. And of course, all brand new miners also come with a full manufacturer warranty. The second thing is their pretty much spotless track record of delivering miners to happy customers like you guys for well over 5 years at this point. So please go check them out today. I'll have the discount codes and link for you down in the video description. Thank you, Coin Mining Central, for sponsoring this video.